All right, we want to welcome everyone in tonight. We're glad to have each and every one that's able to make it out, and we want to welcome you from First Baptist Tangerine, and just an opportunity to come and hear some good music this evening. And I'm Pastor Kevin Willis, by the way, for those that may not know, and we're so privileged to be able to host this tonight. And I'm going to allow my wife, Robin, to introduce our special guest tonight.
All right, Brother Jerry, come on. Our special guest this evening, Mr. Jerry Nelson. I met him a year ago at, I have a bad habit of meeting people everywhere I go. So, on my way out of Christmas Is at Calvary, Orlando last year, I said, "You're one of the piano players, aren't you?" And he said, "Yes." I said, "I'm a musician too." So we began talking and emailing, and he just said, "Yeah, we come to Florida." I'm like, "Would you like to come and play?" I also have a bad habit of asking people. So I'm just blessed, Brother Jerry, that God placed you right in my path.
Well, the only thing that would make this a more complete evening is if we did a four hands thing, but that that was my suggestion. But that isn't going to happen.
It will next time.
Next time. There you go.
Well, and for those of you that don't know, my husband and I, our life has been super, super full. Grandchildren, kids, starting a Good News Club at Zellwood Elementary this past October. So we have just been, the time I did have, I don't have right now. So I said I would love to, but it'll be next. It'll be next time.
Okay.
Are we good?
Yeah.
So that means you have to come back.
Next time.
Okay. Right. All right. Very good. So, Brother Jerry, we're blessed to have you. You can pray. You can do whatever you want. It's your service.
Super.
Okay?
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. Thank you.
When we have exhausted our store of endurance, ever happened to you? And our strength is failed, and the day's just half done. When we reach the end of our hoarded resources, our Father's full giving, it's only begun. His love has no limit, His grace has no measure, His power has no boundary, for out of His infinite riches in Jesus, He giveth and giveth again. Great is provide. Great is thy faithfulness. Great, great is thy faithfulness. Lord, unto me. Man. Well, we've been looking forward to this concert for a long time, at least 13 months maybe, because that's when we met at the Christmas Is concert, and I understand at least one other person from here, and maybe some others, were at that concert. If you weren't, it's been happening every year, early part of December, so just kind of circle the first half of December and make sure you get to it, all right? We'd love to see you there. I don't know how you found out about the concert tonight. I know some of you come from Leesburg and from the villages and other parts. However you found out about the concert, I'm glad you found out. I'm glad you're here tonight. And I'm glad that God is here tonight. And we're going to have a great time. I can tell. I feel it in my bones already. You know, I was doing a concert in Idaho. And, you know, sometimes they have a blurb in the morning bulletin that talks about the guest that's appearing, and you've got a blurb about, you know, your accolades, where you went to school, the doctoral degree, the family, the whole works. And so I saw the bulletin down there at the end. I'm sitting on the first row, and so I reached down there and grabbed a bulletin and started reading it. I'm really curious what the people have to say about me. Because you know what? I learned things about myself I didn't even know. Just by reading someone else's bulletin. And, you know, I'm primarily an arranger, pianist, and not a writer of original songs. I've written about 50 songs total. That's like one a year. And I think the last one was 40 years ago, so they were compressed into my earlier other life. But anyhow, in this brief biography, the line that grabbed my attention was a line that said, Jerry is responsible for over 50 songs. But they inadvertently left the G out of the word songs. You think I'm making that up? I am absolutely not. No, I'm responsible for only 2 sons. We had a big attendance that day, and I think the folks came out because they wanted to see how my wife was doing after all that. Sounds like some of those stories in the Old Testament where people had 25, and Bach's family, 30 kids or something like that. Anyhow, I'd like to play a piece for you. I won't even introduce it because I think you know the story behind Chariots of Fire. And this is a theme from the movie Chariots of Fire. Hope you enjoy it. I haven't yet introduced my wife. She goes everywhere I go. Some people just think I go everywhere she goes. Both are true, but we've been married for 20 years now. 21 years. Is it 21, Rachel? I lost a wife about 22 years ago, and Rachel and I got married shortly after that, a couple years after that, and she is my tech person. I mean, and she's the brains in our family. And so she's sitting back there in the box along with the sound guys, and she's the one that's responsible for whatever shows up on the screen as well as the audio. And Rachel, I think these people would like to welcome you to the concert tonight. Won't you stand up and just... All right. You don't look like you're... Were you standing up? It must be a deep sound booth. Anyhow, if you'd like to see her a little close up, she's going to be back at the table in the corner after the concert. But I'm delighted to have her with me, and what a great asset she is to my ministry. We live in Denver, Colorado, and so we get down to Florida about every year, and we'd like to extend our stay a little bit. I just learned that right now, the temperature in Denver is 7 below. And it's going to get colder tonight. It may go down to 12 below, with a wind chill of 290 below. Who knows? But we're enjoying it around here. But we live in Denver, and when I moved to Denver a little over 50 years ago, I decided I love the mountains, and I decided I think we want to build a house in the mountains. It turned out that our dream was really to build a recording studio in the mountains. So we got a patch of property. It was 10,000 feet. Now that's twice as high as Denver. And right on this peak, there's a 11,000 square mile view from the studio. Pikes Peak, 65 miles. Long's Peak up at Estes Park, 65 miles this way, and the Continental Divide and the whole works. An incredible place to get inspired. And we decided, well, we can't afford to build. The dream keeps getting bigger, you know. You add a room, pretty soon it was not only just a recording studio, but a retreat and recording studio. So we could sleep 18 or 20 people and do some retreats, music retreats. Well, so we decided, can't afford to build this thing, so maybe we're going to have to build it ourselves. So as we were able to raise money for 2x4s or wires, whatever, we continued the building process, figuring it would probably take 2 years to do it. Sure enough, took 4 years. Just multiplied times 2, if you've ever done something that you don't do all the time. Well, in the last phase of the building process, I was cutting some wood, doing trim around the doors and the windows and so forth. And I was using a chop saw, one of those miter saws. Let's see. Rachel, don't you have a picture of, yeah, there it is. That blade is like 10.5 inches. It's a huge blade, but you can cut different angles and whatnot. Well, I was cutting this board, and I heard this zing, and I thought, we got a nail in this board. Now, how can that be? It's a brand new board. So I'm rotating the board in my hands, trying to determine, well, where is this nail? It wasn't a nail. You can show them what it was that I bumped into. Yes, in a microsecond, that saw blade went halfway through my watch, missed my wrist by 1/4 inch. I wear my watch in my right hand. I happen to have it on my left hand. Thank the Lord, I had it on my left hand. I was the only one working on the mountain at that time. If I'd have cut my hand off, the nearest hospital is 25 miles away. I wouldn't have lost just a career. I'd be up there. You know that. But God apparently had other plans for me. And I'm so glad. It makes me think of the song. You're familiar with it, many of you anyhow. His eye is on the sparrow. And I know he's watching over me. Those are the sparrows flitting around in the trees. Can you tell? Someone has said that every song is written in heaven, and it's just waiting for somebody to have the joy of jotting it down. I believe there's a lot of truth to that. If you've written a poem, a song, a sermon, when it drops in your lap especially, you say, wow, I don't think I wrote that. God must have written it. And that happens. It happened to me, as a matter of fact. God woke me up one morning at 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't like when he does that. I just soon sleep the whole night, and I'll write at 8 o'clock in the morning, okay? But there's a catharsis of the mind, I think, and your mind is clear, and that probably has something to do with it. Anyhow, I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and this song was going through. I tried to grab it by the tail. I tried, as I laid in bed, to memorize it. And it was a country song. I've never thought of writing a country song. I'm not even country. I'm more classical than country. But here was this country song. And I thought, man, I got to get this down. I ran down to my office, grabbed a piece of manuscript paper and a pencil, and feverishly wrote as fast as I could. 10 minutes later, Country Church was born. And I thought, that's a good song. And you can say that when you know you didn't write it. I knew that God had written that song. And somewhere along the line, the song made its way to the West Coast. And there was a pop singer on the West Coast who had a family. He had 4 little daughters, and they were doing family albums. And he called one time, and he said, and here I'm trying to recall his name. Isn't that crazy? Rachel, tell me. Pat Boone. How could I forget? How many know that name? If you don't, you're from a different era. So, Pat Boone. And he said, we're doing this album. I'd like to buy the song, and we'd like to record it. And I said, call me back in a few weeks. He called me back, and I said, well, I've been thinking about it, and I've decided to hang on to it. And that was the mistake of my life. I didn't realize that it would have paid off my mortgage, just the royalties on that one song. But it wasn't so much that part of it that bothered me. It was that I didn't go to God on my knees and say, God, what do you want me to do with this song? It's not my song. I didn't write it. You did. He'd have said, sell it to Pat Boone. I know he would have. I made a mistake. But anyhow, I've tried to kind of revive it from time to time. Tonight I'm going to sing it. I'll sing the verses. You are the choir. The words are going to be on the screen. Are you ready to sing? You sing on the choruses. I'll sing the verses. Here it comes, Country Church. I was driving down the valley with my radio on, trying hard to change my dismal state of mind. But the music couldn't cover all my shattered dreams, nor the empty feeling deep inside. I was tempted to abandon any hope that I had when I reached and turned my radio down. Just enough to hear the music from a country church. It was sitting on the edge of town, and they were singing, what a fellowship, what a journey find me on the everlasting arm. What a blessedness, what a peace find me on the everlasting arm. Well, from the moment that I stepped inside that little country church, I felt a warmth I'd never felt before, and the glow of shining faces I couldn't understand. It started something knocking at my door. Well, the parson wasn't preaching about religion that day. No, his sermon hit my conscience like a knife. It was a heart-to-heart experience with God himself. It changed the whole complexion of my life. They were singing, in the precious blood of Lamb. Well, now I'm driving up the valley feeling lighter than air. I can hardly keep her under 95. I got a taste of heaven in that little country church where the folks were coming alive. Something happened in that meeting on the edge of town. It really blew my mind. It changed the whole complexion of my broken dreams. It's the closest thing to heaven I can find. And now I need to sing it. Hey, there's some folks around here that are enjoying gospel music and country music, right? Wish I had some more. Oh, I do. Fact is, this piece is my shortest and fastest piece in my repertoire. You will hear 1,947 notes in 2 minutes. Feel free to count. Keep me honest, okay? Goodbye, world. Goodbye. Oh, don't you weep for me when I'm gone, 'cause I won't have to leave here alone. And when I hear that last trumpet sound, my feet won't stay on the ground. I'm gonna rise with a shout, gonna fly. I'm gonna ride with my Lord through the sky. Heaven is near, but I can't stay here. Goodbye, world, goodbye. Was I pretty close? You know, over the years, I've worked with a bunch of musicians from around the world. The London Symphony Orchestra, the Tel Aviv Symphony Orchestra, Los Angeles to New York and Atlanta. And there's a lot of great professional musicians. And there are a good number of professional gospel Christian musicians. And I really enjoy working with them. And one of the guys that I met, and I don't know exactly how many years ago, but I was on the staff of Denver First Nazarene Church for 37 years, actually, and we had a concert series. And this person kicked off that concert series, and I saw him come in tonight, and I understand that he lives in Leesburg, And his name is Dave Boyer. Where are you, Dave? Oh, you're still here. Come on up, man. Oh, Dave, it's so good to see you. And we haven't seen each other in I don't know how long, but it's...
5, 6, 7 years. I don't know.
5, 6, 7 years. Well, it's...
Are you glad to hear Jerry tonight?
Oh.
Whoa.
But, you know, when I saw Dave out here tonight, I said, I'm not going to pass up on an opportunity to hear you sing. I mean, here's a guy that has quite a history, and we don't have time to hear your story tonight, but some of the people, Sammy Davis and Dean Martin, and what are some of the guys that you hung out with years ago?
Well, Blue Eyes.
What's that?
Blue Eyes, Frank, yeah. Yeah.
Well, and he has a story of his conversion that we don't have the time to even talk about. But you had a movie, in fact.
So Long Joey, yeah. Stage name was Joey Stevens. Yeah.
Okay.
And
that was your stage name, Joey.
right, but came to the Lord in 65. Well, he rescued me in 65 and got my real name back. Most of all, I got my life back. And just great to hear you. I'm blessed to be here and hear Jerry. We've had great times together, not only in Denver with his big band and all over the place. I don't know how many dates we've done, but it goes back to 74 on an icy night in Denver First Church, and we were sold out for 2 nights with 1,300 people each night.
Yes, which was remarkable. It was the start of that series, but my wife never made it because the street, she's 4 miles away. She tried to get there, but
I didn't know that.
the ice was so bad. She about ended up in the ditch, and she said, "I better go home."
Oh my God!
But so she missed out on the concert.
Oh,
but,
how bad. I never
but
knew
still, you had, I mean, you know, a couple thousand people when you put them together. But you know, one of the songs, and I'll tell you what, of all the people I've worked with and accompanied, especially, nobody I would rather accompany as a singer than Dave Boyer. I want you to know that.
Wow.
It's true.
God, my brother, it's just my blessing, Jerry.
Well, one of the songs that I really love, and we've done it with the band at
Tell him about
Naz
the
Jazz.
band's name.
Naz Jazz?
Naz Jazz.
Naz Jazz.
How about that?
Yeah. Fact is one of the trumpet players from that band,
Lead trumpet players here.
Lee Martin.
Walked in.
Lee, stand up and wave at the people.
Hey, get your horn. Hey, Lee, get your horn.
He says, "Go get your horn." Well, it's a long trip because his horn's in Colorado. But one of the songs it's one of my favorite that you sing, and I wonder if you would sing that for us tonight. It's a good. It's I was saying "Goodbye World, Goodbye," but that's the one I just but it's "Come On Home." Oh, yeah. Ralph Carmichael. You recorded that one with Ralph Carmichael, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. And your big band played it many times.
Yeah. Well, can we use?
I'm going to follow you.
Can we use this mic? Okay. Good. And we'll come up with a key that'll work for you. And so.
Pick one out, Jerry.
Okay. Well. We got to get it.
This usually had 17 guys behind me, but that's all right. You got hands for 30 guys, so it doesn't matter. How you doing, folks? Oh, are you blessed tonight? I'm blessed just seeing you. And dear Rachel, wherever you hit it, I'll sing it. All right?
Okay.
Let it roll.
B flat. Is that going to work for you?
C, up a little bit.
Up a little bit?
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it there.
Okay.
Go for it.
Okay.
Come on home, you've been a-running too long. Come on home, God's house is where we belong. So, come on home, come on home. I have been expecting your call. Come on home. Come on home. Past doesn't matter at all. Those banners are waving and the table is spread. Your robe, it's spotless and new. My son was lost, now he is found. And we're just waiting for you. So come on home, won't you get on home? You've been running too long. Get up, come on home. Get on home. Past doesn't matter at all. Slow part. Now when I picked up that phone to call, collect, that was the only thing left for me to do. I did not have the change that changed the dial direct. So I wondered if I could get through. Hello, operator? Are you on the phone? 'Cause I'm calling in Jesus' holy name. Would you please connect me to my heavenly Father's throne? You know what happened? That over that line, his voice came. Everybody, come on now. Come on home. Come on, church. Come on home. You've been around and to look at that. Yeah, Michael Bublé. Right, come on home. Come on home. God's house is where we belong. So come on home, won't you get on home? He's been expecting your call. Come on home, get on home. Your past doesn't matter at all because the banners are waving and the table is spread. Your robe is spotless and new. My son was lost, tonight he's found. And the family waits for you. Come on home, we got it. Come on home. I've been expecting your call. Get up and come on home. Get on home. The past doesn't matter. No, 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 that past doesn't matter. Well, your past, it doesn't matter at all. Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. Jesus took it away at Calvary. Hallelujah. You believe that tonight? Hey, how about a big hand for that Jerry over there?
No.
That's a 17-piece band, folks. Oh, man.
You know, Davey,
Oh, my goodness.
I mentioned a few names that you're acquainted with, but I heard the other day, because it's kind of in the news, but that you actually sang for 3 U.S. presidents.
Yeah.
Is that true? And of course,
for President Ford, for President Carter, and for President Reagan.
Okay. Wow. That's pretty impressive. And Carter, tell me about Carter, because he's been in the news.
Well, it did hit my mind when I saw him. I remember it would have been 1977. Yeah. The Gospel Music Association had put on a gospel sing on the lawn of the White House. And President Carter was a big fan of gospel music, and so many different gospel artists were there. People like the Gaithers of country music, Southern gospel. They had all styles there. And I had just flown in from a concert in Cincinnati, changed clothes, got to the White House, and it was an amazing time. And I was ready to go after I talked to the production man to tell him, give him the track of what I was going to sing. And actually, it was "Come On Home" that I had up. I had just recorded with Ralph's big band. And as I was standing, I came back, and somebody came to the side, and it was President Carter. And so he said, "David, it's good to have you here. Are you going to sing Calvary Covers It All?"
Wow.
And he said, Rosalind and I have your album, So Long Joey, from the movie. Well, I'd had a different song. I said, well, yes. So I went to the producer and I said, change the program. And, well, ladies and gentlemen, Jerry, if I get a little emotional, it's because I love this guy. And, you know, a singer, you know, when I work those clubs, and I'm a preacher's son, and I laughed at the fact that I was the youngest of 6 children, and my dad was a great pastor. My mom went to be with the Lord at 100 years old, and she was a great piano player and singer. And I learned these songs, and then I found myself just in my teens in Skinny D'Amato's 500 Club in Atlantic City singing Here's That Rainy Day, thinking I was really living. But seeing you brings back so many memories. Then Lee picked me up, and all the times with Naz Jazz. Man, you should have heard that band could cook. Oh, I tell you, they didn't have a dead church, folks. I'll tell you that. One lady did come to me one time. How can you bring the sounds of Las Vegas into the holy sanctuary? Ma'am, are you getting used to it? Get used to it. I'm taking the big band, right?
Oh, yeah.
But anyway.
I wish we could have done it that way, but...
and your band, but he has an anointing on his piano that I've never heard in my life. And
Well, you're very kind, Dave.
From my heart, my heart.
You mentioned the song, which I think, following your conversion was, I mean, it was kind of the story of your life embodied in that song, but you mentioned that Calvary covers it all.
Yes.
And you've sung it many times, but every time, it never wears thin for me.
Yes.
I wish you'd sing that.
I will do it. I just do want to say my precious wife of 66 years is here. Back there, June, God bless you, darling. And we love being in Leesburg. We were in the Villages for 13 years. We're in Leesburg, and all these songs. This is one. If you asked me if I had one to sing, it's this.
It'd be this one, huh?
Oh yeah.
What's your key? Do you know the key that you?
Let's do it. E flat.
Okay.
Calvary covers it all. All my past with its sin and its stain, all my guilt, my despair, Jesus took on him there, and Calvary covers it all. Far dearer than all this world could ever impart is the message that comes right now to my heart. How only Jesus alone for my sin. He's atoned, loved one Calvary has covered it all. Play it, Jerry. Aren't you glad for the cross, for the resurrection? Calvary covers it all. For you, and for you, all our past with its sin and and its wasted shame, all our guilt, our despair, Jesus took on him there, and Calvary covers it all. Yes, Calvary covers it all. Remember this one, Jerry? Without him, I could do nothing. Without him, I'd surely fail. Without him, I would be drifting like a ship without a sail. Jesus, oh Jesus, do you know him today? Loved one, don't turn him away. Come to Jesus, my Jesus. Without him, how lost, but I'm not tonight. I would be. God bless you, everybody. Oh, I love you. Nelson.
Thank you so much. This will be a moment in tonight's concert I'll never forget. And that's to be able to make music with you and to touch God's, the hem of his garment tonight. Right down here in row 1. I like to see it that way. One of the things I enjoy doing as much as anything in my concerts, if you haven't figured it out, I enjoy improvising at the piano. You probably figured that out if you didn't know that. But I thought what I'd do is let you decide what songs I'm going to improvise on. I'd like to take 3 and weave them together. And I assure you, I have no clue what keys I'm going to play, what style I'm going to play. God just steers the fingers. So shoot up your hand if there's one that you'd like me to weave into this trilogy, this Lady in Green. There is a fount. There is a fountain whose sins who washed away, or there is a fount. Wash all my sins away. There is a fountain filled with blood. Okay. Thank you for singing a little bit. If I don't know the song, I just ask a person if they'll sing part of it. So bear that in mind. There is a fountain. Okay. I think There is a Fountain is the title of that one. Let me jot that down. There's a reason that I write these titles down. You know what the reason is. Okay, number 2, Way in the Back. Let me hear that once again. In the garden alone. Okay. Right. In the garden is that title. Someone on this side. I see a gentleman by that exit door. What a day that will be when my Jesus I will see. What a day. Okay. I can hardly wait. Thank you. Lee, the second half of that improv was for you. He suggested a couple of days ago that I ought to take one song and instead of spin it into 3 songs, just do it in 3 different styles, the same song. So the one you just heard, I think I started out with jazz style, and then I did a classical style, ended up with Floyd Kramer country style. Your suggestion, not a bad one. Israel's very much in the news these days. We're admonished in God's word to pray for the peace of Jerusalem. They've been negotiating a peace. I haven't kept up with the news very well. We've done 9 concerts in 9 days, so about all I've kept up with is concerts and driving. And we put on a couple thousand miles just darting around Florida. But we need to be praying for the peace of Jerusalem these days, and we've had this hostage crisis just hanging over our heads for so long. And I pray that God will give clarity to those that have to do the negotiating, because it's not an easy thing when you're trading people who are law-abiding citizens for crooks and criminals and treating them equally. Well, I don't want to get political, but I did. Sorry. But I want to play a trilogy of Hebraic songs. I've done some recording in Israel, and I think I've developed an attachment with those people in the process of that. So I call this the Hebraic Praise Medley. when we think of hostages, we think of people around the world who you may have had a relative, as a matter of fact, that's been in the battlefield on the other side of the world. I had an uncle, as a matter of fact, that was in the Battle of Normandy Beach, and he was one of the 70,000 that was dropped in the water. And then you got to try and get across a 500-foot beach and then climb the hill with bullets raging around you. 10,000 never made it home. My uncle managed to make it home. But you have to know there had to be some parents and uncles and aunts and brothers and sisters praying for their safety and that God would bring them home. It reminds me of a piece from the Broadway musical Les Miserables. I love this melody. It's one of my favorite. Bring him home. I guess I could tell you that we only have about 45 more minutes of music tonight. Not the case. Normally I go an hour and 15 minutes to an hour and a half. And tonight we did some things that I didn't realize we were going to be able to do. And I think you're glad that we spent some time just hearing a little bit of Dave Boyer's story, hearing him sing. Wasn't that incredible? That's a part of this evening that I will not forget, but you won't either. And so I'm glad we included it. Actually, I have about 3 songs left, and then we'll wrap up the evening, still ahead of an hour and a half. So I thank you for your patience and your willingness to just spend a few more minutes that are treasured minutes in tonight's concert. I used to glance at Time magazine every once in a while because certain issues of Time would, they'd have a list of the most influential persons of the decade. It's interesting to plow through that list and find out what names emerge out of the last 10 years. And then they published a list of the most influential persons in the last century. That's a long period of time. And then they got the greatest minds, philosophers, doctors, actors, musicians, scientists, inventors, and they compiled a list of probably thousands of names. And they got it down to just 100 of the most influential names in all of history, going back to Adam. Adam didn't make the list, incidentally. There was nobody to influence. But I was very interested in that list to see if which ones particularly made it. And if you keep an eye on the screen, you'll get an idea of some of the names that emerged on that screen. And some of them, I would say, for better or for worse. And as you take a look at these pictures, there's one for worse. The world was worse when he got done with it. Most of them better because they were on the planet. But then about 2,000 years ago, another face emerged on the stage of history. And you talk about influential. Who else? Who else in all of history could have stopped the clock of time and sent it the other direction? Only Jesus has been able to do that. And it doesn't make any difference whether you're a Buddhist, a Hindu, a Muslim, a Christian, an atheist. Everyone acknowledges his birth. I mean, when you make out a check, you write 2025. Some of you are still writing 2024. But you get on a plane, ticket says 2025. It reminds you of when Jesus was born. It's on your birth certificate. It's on your driver's license, right? A reminder. And if there was ever a contest, I'll tell you, when Jesus exploded and blew the door off that tomb, the contest was over as far as I'm concerned. And ever since then, he's been the most painted, the most quoted, the most talked about, the most read about, the most preached about, the most sung about person in all of history. And how long can he continue to be number one most influential? They try to get rid of him, and every time they do, his population only grows. You've read the history. It happens in Africa, China, India, and it continues. But listen to the words of Isaiah. Of the increase of his kingdom and of peace, there will not be an end. And he will reign on the throne of David. For how long? Forever and forever and forever. And because of Jesus, we look at Jerusalem and we're still able to call it the Holy City. It's the place where he started his ministry, and it's the place where he will complete his ministry. The Bible says he'll come back in just the reverse of how he left, to that very same place, the eastern gate he'll pass through. This is called the Holy City. You know, we were enjoying so much fellowship when we came in tonight and talking to some folks that we've known from before. And Pastor, you and I never got our heads together to decide if we were going to take an offering at some point in time. Are you prepared for that? On the way out, okay. There'll be a basket, I presume. A couple baskets in the back. And so if you would like to contribute It's what keeps us on the road. And as a matter of fact, I would tell you, in respect to that, Rachel and I have ministry in Africa. We have for about 15 years, and everything that you purchase in the way of products and a portion of every offering we take goes to Africa and keep those ministries going. So you might realize that when you put something in that basket, you're actually contributing to a ministry in Africa. Well, I enjoy jazz, and I'm going to play a little jazz called Wayfaring Stranger before I do one finale. I think you might enjoy this piece. Wayfaring Stranger, and I've merged it with I Need Jesus to Walk with Me. I'm just a poor wayfaring stranger, just a traveling through this world of woe. But there's no sickness, no toil, no trouble in that bright world to which I go. I need Jesus to walk with me. I need Jesus to walk and talk with me all along my pilgrim journey. I need Jesus, I need him to walk with me. Let me briefly tell you a little bit about what's on the back table. Rach will be back there. I'll be back there with her also. Here's a trilogy of CDs, which Quiet Times and Quiet Times Tranquility, Quiet Times Reflections, pure quiet piano. No singing, no orchestra, just me and the piano. It'll put you to sleep. Don't play it in your car. Just play it at home. I assume no liability. And incidentally, you can buy those 3 for $24, or, and it's got 75 of your favorite hymns. Or, and then we just came out with this, you can buy the flash drive. You can see it down in the right-hand corner for the same price. You get your choice, the CDs or the flash drive. And then in your car, you can see who the artist is, the name of the album, the title. It's kind of cool. And it's especially kind of designed for these days for people that no longer have a CD in their car, right? You can buy a flash drive. You can use it in your car. You can plug it into a computer, USB port, and you can plug it into a smart TV. I understand most of them are smart TVs now. They're no longer dumb. So it's another way to be able to play this music. Then we took the 7 best, and we call this the best of Jerry Nelson, some classical, jazz, et cetera, et cetera. Well, you can get an idea by reading that list. For $49, you can either take the 7 CDs, or you can take the best of Jerry Nelson in flash drive form. Same price, $49. Isn't that handy? Just put it in your purse. Carry it with you wherever you go. Also have a book back there. It's called, Is Heaven Really for Real? What Are the Odds? Stories from my life that when it happened, I said, wow, that could not have happened if there wasn't a God. You've had that happen to you. I took the best stories and put them in this book. What Are the Odds? Book's $19, and if you buy the book, you get the CD, which has about 78 minutes of songs about heaven. So you're not getting a copy of the book. That's music on the CD. And it's $3 when you buy the book. Okay. You ready for the finale? Yes. I'm going to ask you a question. Let's see if you're among the Bible scholars in this congregation. Of whom was it said that he's a man after God's own heart? In unison, they all said, David, you're all right. Of David it was said, he's a man after God's own heart. How would you like to be said of you? She's a woman after God's own heart. Or a man after God's own heart. I mean, what better accolade than that? What better compliment? I don't think anyone else in the Old Testament that statement was made of, other than David. But wait a minute now. Wasn't he the same guy that orchestrated the murder of his captain so that he could marry the captain's wife? Half of the commandments he stomped on in one fell swoop. You talk about falling off the wagon. And this, God said, man after my own heart. You talk about a story of grace from the Old Testament. I don't think there's a better illustration of God's awesome grace to take a person back. Embarrassed his nation, embarrassed himself, embarrassed everyone that was around him. The day came when he said, God, I can't handle this any longer. He didn't pray a simple, now I lay me down to sleep, I pray thee, Lord, my soul to keep, and it was all over. I think he lived with the pain of this for weeks, for months. He was in agony. But the day came when he said, only you can remove the stain of my sin and make me whiter than snow. Would you please, please, please restore the joy that I used to have? You know that God did that for him. And it was probably months later, I believe it's in Psalm 13, he was able to write these timeless words. My contentment is in seeing you once again and knowing that all is well between us. Now there's a verse that's worth repeating. My contentment is in seeing you and knowing that all is well between us. There ain't no better feeling than that.